This conference will now be recorded.
Okay.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's December 8th, 2022, the Iowa 911 Communications Council. We'll forego guest introductions as we have people in the room and all across the state. But Kara, could you give us a roll call, please?
Chris Jasper was going to be absent. Is Shanna Krogmeyer on? Shanna Krogmeyer? Lawrence Hartpence? George Griffith?
I'm here.
Mike Bryant? Mark Murphy? Tracy Beard?
Here.
Richard Pierce? Here. Rob Dennert?
Here.
Jack D'Angelo was excused. Taylor Teeple? Taylor Teeple? We'll go back. Shanna, are you on? Lawrence Hartpence? Mike Bryant? Or Mark Murphy? If you're on and your speaker's not working, can you send us a message or let us know?
Well, can't really approve the agenda or the minutes. Blake, would you want to start your report?
I can do that.
You put a message in the chat section that if any board members arrive to send a message. You can do it for them.
Right.
All right. No, that's not. Okay. Just a small few things to go over today, not a lot. Just a reminder that annual forms are coming up due January 1st. I guess one thing of note, we did have the first county inform me that they are implementing the authorization under Senate File 2298 to have the Emergency Management Commission take over for the 911 Service Board. So that made me start thinking about how that's going to be reported and recorded. So that kind of ties into Mark Murphy is here now. Why don't we stop and does that get us for him? We need one more still. Okay. I'll keep going. So we still need to track service board members and counties that have authorized the Emergency Management Commission to take over for the service board. So we are in the midst of producing and then publishing a new service board membership form. That'll just be going forward. No one has to go back and redo their forms that they've already done for the year. I've made that available to the county that informed me that they were making that switch. And then again, going forward, that'll just be the form. So that'll be on our website going forward, but just wanted to make everyone aware of that, of those kind of two things. We are in the final draft stage of the annual legislative report that our program and department produces, 911 program. So when that is finalized, it gets sent to the legislature as well as posted on our website. I can make it available if anyone else is interested. Also tomorrow, we kind of have the kickoff with the 3 PSAPs that are involved in the 911 to 988 transfers. We are basically 100% sure that we have a technical solution on how to make that work. We just need to actually implement it and validate it. It's really more of an operational conversation, working with the 988 folks on when to transfer and how to. Did you unmute? Somebody unmuted. Just a second. Let me get somebody off the mute. I'm going to try to keep going. So it's more of an operational consideration with working with PSAPs, working with 988 to make sure we kind of do it on more of a gradual rollout so they're not inundated, so they know what they're getting into, but also when the proper time is to make those transfers from 911 to 988. So hopefully we actually go live with that. Our target timeframe is March, but again, it's kind of that 3-month period for training and working out best practices between the 911 and 988 centers that are involved in that pilot. I mentioned this at APCO. Those 3 PSAPs involved are Johnson County, Muscatine County, and Black Hawk County. So after those are done, what we're looking at is kind of a statewide training with the rest of the PSAPs and kind of, again, talking through those best practices and lessons learned throughout that pilot process. Okay. Good. Sounds good. Just a quick update on GIS grants. As a reminder, we pay that out now at the end of the quarter. So with basically 1 month to go, 91 counties have met the benchmarks for the quarter, so that's tracking really well. One thing I do want to point out, and I believe Jessica from GeoCom is on, and she's been involved in this effort as well, and I think Bill from Comtech is normally on as well. We are aware that there's kind of mixed messaging going out between GeoCom and the grant portion of GIS data and what Comtech is doing forward thinking with geospatial routing. When Comtech sends out their information, it looks like there's more critical errors. They're running more checks. So we are trying to align that messaging and make it so there's less confusion. So the information that Ali sends out on behalf of GeoCom is really what we're looking for the grant process. In the future, when we start geospatial routing, some of the checks that Comtech is running will be more important, but it's not anything that really anyone needs to worry about at the moment. If there are questions about what counties can do forward thinking with what Comtech sends out, by all means, you can contact them and they will help you out and you can start working on some of that data. But it's really nothing that needs to be implemented now. Jessica, did you have anything that you wanted to add on that? If there's anyone from Comtech that wants to speak to that?
Well, this is Bill from Comtech, and yeah, just to reiterate what you said, Blake. So in the email messaging that we will send out, we talked to Blake and Jessica with GeoCom about kind of rewording that, so it's a little more clear in that distinction between the two. So yeah, you'll see that change.
Thanks, Bill. All right, looking at the Travel, Public Education, and Training Fund, you can see on the top portion of that slide what we've approved thus far and what we've paid out and what is remaining. There are 2 training requests on the table for today, and I think I have the actual applications up here in a second. I think that is a little bit off with the Delaware County. I think that is the 100% amount. When you take the 10% into consideration, it's actually 6,300. So I apologize for that, but it's in the ballpark for this slide. And I have, again, the actual applications up for review here when we get to that point. That wraps up my portion. Is I think Paul from Zetron on to give an update on shared services.
I am. Do you hear me, Blake?
Yes, go ahead.
So next slide, please. Just a couple of updates. We had Wapello and Jasper go live in the last month, and the next install that we currently have booked is in February for Carroll County. Next slide is our map of progress showing installed and pending PSAPs within the state of Iowa. Next slide, please. And this slide's just a little bit out of date, kind of shows the slide where the newsletter went out yesterday, but our slides went into Blake earlier than that. But if anyone's interested in having the Iowa Insider newsletter, please email lynn.warren@zetron.com and she'll get you signed up. And just one last piece of information. I want to thank you, Blake, everyone at the state, all of the industry partners, and equally importantly, all of the PSAPs that participate in the Iowa Shared Services Program. And from everybody at Zetron, we want to wish you safe and happy holidays and look forward to 2023 and working with you. That's it for me, Blake.
Thank you. And that also wraps up my briefing. I would take any questions if there are any.
Hey, Blake.
Yes.
Mark Murphy here. I just wanted to put out so other people know we're on the shared services and we do have our admin lines on that as well. We did find out that when you transfer an admin line to somewhere else, it keeps the line that it came in tied up as well as a second line to transfer the call out. Keeps them both tied up until the end user hangs up. So something for other people to be aware of. So we were finding out people were trying to call our admin lines. One rolls over to another. They're both busy because we had 2 transfers going. We had 4 lines taken out of commission. So we had to do some policy change, but just people aware that when they transfer, if they do have their admin lines hooked on the shared service, they transfer a call to, like, say, the jail, the line that it came in on, as well as an additional line is tied up until the jail hangs up.
Well, thanks for that, Mark. I don't know, Paul, if that's anything that you want to address here or offline.
We'll take it offline. I appreciate that. And that will certainly be the case for a good segment of administrative line types, but it does depend on the administrative line type as well. So there will be some nuances from center to center. And
Yeah,
certainly if any, go ahead. Sorry, Mark.
We were told that it can't be fixed.
And that, yeah, and that would be reflective of the equipment you use. Some other PSAPs may have different service providers for their administrative function and may be able to do an unattended transfer. It really depends on what the source of your administrative lines are. But I expect that to be the case for a good majority of the PSAPs from an administrative function.
Yeah, I just wanted people aware of it because we found it the hard way with lines being busy, people complaining.
Sorry about that, Mark, and thanks for bringing it up for the rest of the centers.
All right. Any other questions for me or on shared services?
Okay, thank you, Blake. We did establish a quorum during that time, so we'll go back into the agenda here, and could I please get a motion to approve today's agenda?
So moved, Bearden.
Second, Murphy.
Any discussion? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 Against, same sign. And then likewise, could I get a motion to approve the November 10th, 2022 minutes?
Second, Bearden.
Any discussion? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 Again, same sign. Okay, training fund requests. We have Henry County. I understand that, I'm sorry, we'll do Delaware County first, sorry. Delaware County requesting $6,300. I understand that if there are questions, there is somebody that we can get online, but currently we don't have anyone online right now. Do I have any questions from the council related to this request? It is they're calling their project The Importance of You and Why You Are Important for Delaware. At Delaware County 911 Communications, obviously inviting all communications professionals with a maximum class load of 60 with a minimum of 30, and again, the requested amount is $6,300.
We have had the speaker at APCO, and he was a good speaker. Did a good job. Telecommunicators over there.
Sounds like this is a specialist centered type of event,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would make a motion to approve it.
Okay, I have a motion to approve.
Second, Bearden.
I have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 Again, same sign. And motion carries. Then on to Henry County. I understand that we didn't have anyone, but we might have someone. Is there anybody on from Henry County that can speak on this training request?
Mr. Chair, I do know that he had a meeting come up. He was hoping to be here around 9:30 or 9:40. I know that is a few minutes from now. Just letting you know. Passing
All
on.
right, well, we would see if he jumps on at some point while we finish this meeting. However, we don't have a whole lot to
And
prolong
Chair,
the meeting.
if he does not show up, there's several questions that I have that I don't feel comfortable approving this or putting a motion to approve unless he's available. So
Right.
if he doesn't come available, I would like
Okay. So we'll move on through the agenda then. Do we have any technical advisories? Okay, can we get an update on the Iowa statewide interoperability communication system, Captain Pierce?
I can say that we are still waiting for the background to be completed in regards to, we're still waiting on the background to be completed in regards to our SWIC hire, and as soon as that's completed, we'll be able to make a formal announcement. And I would turn the rest of the update over to Scott and Wally.
You're good with that, Pop Mike.
So on the Astro system upgrade, Essex is currently going through core upgrades. The console sites, the core connected console sites have been completed. This week we're going through the core updates, most of which are behind the scenes type events. However, we are currently on a 5-day provisioning manager database freeze, which means no talk group ads, no radio ID ads, alias changes, that kind of thing. Zone controller switchovers occurred on Tuesday at 3:30 and 4:30. There are also zone controller switchovers scheduled for today at 9:30 and 10:30. That entails consoles losing connection to the core for approximately 30 seconds. Generally, it was shorter than that. We did have one dispatch center that had an extended outage on Tuesday, and that was resolved later in the evening. We also had an issue with some logging recorders not recording audio after the zone controller switchover. That has been resolved and will likely need to be have some local equipment rebooted today after zone controller switchovers. Next week sees network switch reboots, of which will drop consoles, half of the consoles of the comm center off for 5 minutes, followed by the other half after the first set return, and that's on odds and evens basis. Repeater sites will go to half channel capacity for 8 minutes twice, and simulcast cells will drop one of the individual sites during that time, also for 8 minutes twice. Core and upgrades should be completed by the end of next week. And numbers for November, we're currently sitting at 31,586 radios, 2,867 talk groups, and roughly 2.4 million push-to-talks for last month.
Real quick update from this Wally. I'll give you a quick update on a couple of items we have going on. So today's board meeting will be credentialing two new, one COM-L and one COM-T. Successfully completed all of the requirements, and we'll be presenting certificates here in about an hour and a half or so. We are planning the training asks currently for next year. And what we have slated right now is an INTE course, October 3rd through the 6th at Pottawatomie County Sheriff's Office. We're looking at an audio gateway course held at the DPS building in Des Moines, Tuesday, April 18th. A COM-L course held at the Cedar Rapids Central Fire Station, May 22nd through the 25th. And a COM-T course at Spencer City Hall, June 19th through the 23rd. And we'll have more on these specifically once we get them formally locked in. And we'll have links that folks can sign up. So we did receive back a draft of the TIC-P, the Tactical Interoperability and Communications Plan. That's currently under review. Big thanks to Chris Myers. He helped a lot in getting that into our hands. So we'll hopefully have something to present to the board here very soon, and then the public, the communications public after that. I believe other than that, that's all I got for you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? All right. Moving on, can we get an update from U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency? Chris Myers, I believe you're on the line.
Yes, sir, I am. Can you hear me okay?
We can. Good morning.
Super. Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, 911 Council. Wanted to start off this morning and greet everybody from Kansas City. I'm sorry I could not be there in person. We are working on a joint exercise with FEMA this week to go over what in theory would happen with a New Madrid seismic event. Been an interesting exercise so far, and I think we've learned a lot about our own internal processes. So Wally covered the TA updates. Thank you, Wally, for covering that. So I will move on to the next slide. I do want to let everybody know that additional information has come out for the SAFECOM Nationwide Survey. Again, the SAFECOM Nationwide Survey is an online survey that helps us assess the nationwide emergency communications capability, border to border, coast to coast. This is one of those things that really feeds back into what the federal government hopes to make data-driven decisions off of as far as policy and funding decisions. So it is possible that in the future there may be some grants that are crafted based off of the responses in the SAFECOM Nationwide Survey. This also helps us very, very closely tailor programs, services, and other types of new features and functionalities within the array of services CISA offers to agencies that need them. And it also helps highlight capabilities and gaps nationwide. This data does have a pretty far-reaching scope as well. It has even been cited in 2 congressional hearings over the last several years. So my request to everybody in the room is to please complete the survey once it arrives. The CISA staff involved with the survey have worked to garner contact information through services and other points of contact for public safety agencies. So leadership within your group may end up getting an email that discusses the SAFECOM Nationwide Survey. Of course, verify that it was from CISA directly through good cyber hygiene practices. But I would encourage you to please complete the survey to make sure that responses from states like Iowa are taken into account. A lot of times, rural states tend to miss the boat on some of these items, and this is a chance for the state of Iowa to take a pretty big bite out of the apple and make sure they're very well represented. As an example, I believe in the last survey there was right around 700 or 800 responses. So if you think that there's 112 PSAPs within the state of Iowa, if we get 50% of them to respond, that would make up a good chunk of the responses, and Iowa's data would be well represented. So the next slide, again, if you are looking for more information on the survey, you can visit cisa.gov/SNS. There's also an email address that has been set up for the SAFECOM Nationwide Survey. If you have additional questions, you can email that, or you can go to me and I can route you in the right direction. We are still slated for a Q1 release of this survey. So again, check your inboxes and look for an email from sns@cisa.dhs.gov for that information. On the next slide, I do want to cover a work product that was released after the 911 Council meeting in November. It discusses two things every 911 center should do to improve cybersecurity. 911, as everybody here knows, is the nation's most direct route to emergency assistance, and criminals in nation states are looking to exploit services such as this. New 911 technology and enhancing PSAP capabilities also can expand threat vectors and risk profiles if appropriate actions are not taken to mitigate those risks before it starts. This paper does include actionable steps to enhance cyber posture, and it also provides links to resources to help PSAPs conduct cyber risk assessments. I believe this was sent out in email en masse. If you have not received it and would like to see a copy of it, you can reach out to Blake, or you can reach out to me, and we will make sure to get you that document.
Hey, Chris,
one other item on the next.
Chris, just real quick, sorry, on that, that was also posted to the PSAP Google shared site, so it's also available there with any other cyber type of bulletins that have been sent out.
Even better. Thank you, Blake. Appreciate it.
Yep.
So on the next slide, I do want to point out to everybody too on the cyber note that CISA's Cyber Hygiene Services request form has been updated. If you've not seen this form previously, this request form has been updated for federal fiscal year 2023 and includes several services that are available at no cost. Some of them are slated for a Q1 or Q2 release of 2023, but services that are currently available include things like vulnerability scanning, cyber protective visits with one of our cybersecurity advisors to look at things like your enterprise networks that would touch things like CAD, RMS, and other county level functions. It also can get you some access to work with our CSAs on the cybersecurity evaluation tool, also known as CSET. You can also learn more about these services on CISA's Cyber Hygiene Services website. All you got to do is do a quick search for it. Once you get there, it'll take you right to that. Alternatively, if you want access to the form directly, let me know, and I will pass that on to you as soon as I can. On the last slide, there's some regional news of note for the group here. As mentioned before, we are conducting a new Madrid seismic zone functional exercise that is slated to conclude either today or tomorrow. The NFL draft is taking place in Kansas City, Missouri from 27 to 29 in April of 2023, and we are offering a lot of assistance with that since it is a special event. And depending on the types of events Iowa has in the future, we may also be able to provide some support to state of Iowa on something like that with specialized TA deliveries, specialized assessments, things of the sort. Nebraska is also utilizing CISA cybersecurity services for an assessment of the Nebraska state radio system. And of course, Iowa's already utilizing those cyber assessments for the Iowa 911 network and the Iowa statewide interoperable communication system. So Iowa in itself is making great use of CISA services, and we are ready to provide more if the request comes in. That is all I have, Mr. Chair. I can go ahead and take any questions.
Okay, thank you, Chris. A drill related to the new Madrid fault. That's pretty fascinating. I look forward to hearing about that when you get back.
There's a lot of stories, and I'll be happy to share when the time comes.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris. Okay, do we have any updates on the Chapter 34 Administrative Code Committee? Okay, any updates for the Baseline Knowledge for 911 Communications Professionals Committee? Okay, any legislative issues? Any information sharing by council members?
The one thing, and Chair, I would like to please put on the agenda for next meeting would be our training policy. I'll offer up some language and send that to you for the next meeting, but I would like that to be discussed. I think this is a good time to update it since we did have applications that the policy is silent on, so I think they need to be addressed.
Okay, that will be done. Any other information sharing by council members? Okay, I do believe we have someone from Henry County. Would you like to speak on your, I'm sorry, who is this? This is Walter Jackson. Mr. Jackson, would you like to speak on your application for training fund request?
Yeah, thank you for allowing me on here, and I'm sorry about being late. I had another commitment come up that I had to attend to, but um, the other month, Travis House came down to Moline and did a presentation, and I attended that presentation in Moline, along with several other counterparts in Iowa. And Travis talks about post-traumatic stress syndrome for all first responders, including dispatch. Um, and he was a very dynamic and very good speaker on this subject. And we talked about it at our emergency management district meeting, and we would like to have him come down. And Chris Jasper from Muscatine County um, told me that you guys had some funds possibly available for training to this sort, and so that's the reason I applied for this grant. Um, I don't know if any of you others went to speak with Travis, or listened to him, but he is a former police officer, retired firefighter, United States Marine, and a comedian on top of that. And so he keeps things pretty lively, and it's a very good presentation. The only bad part is he's from South Carolina, and it's kind of costly to get him down here. And when I talked to him the other day, he had a few dates still open in September and October of this calendar year, and then he's already being booked into 24. So that's the reason I kind of went ahead and submitted this. He does require 100% of the fee up front when you book him, and so that's kind of I know it's two fiscal years, but that's the way he requires things to be done. So.
Okay. Do I have any questions from council members?
I do. Hi, this is Tracy Bearden. Hi, Mr. Jackson. So do you have a copy of the contract or the agreement you would need to be executing with this gentleman? I have concerns on what happens if Travis goes solvent and then he no longer has his company and he already has 100% of the funds. If let's say we gave a portion of this or all of it, that is some concerns, especially since this is from another fiscal year, which right now our fiscal policy is silent on. The other thing I have, these training funds are for primarily dispatchers. So do you have already a plan in place how you would track how many dispatchers versus other personnel? Because we wouldn't be able to cover the entire training if not all dispatchers were there. I mean, this is for a fund from the 911 Communication Council to provide invaluable training to dispatchers and make sure they're taken care of, because a lot of times they're left behind, and we want to make sure that those training funds are used appropriately.
Right. At this time, I do not have a contract with him because I just, or in the beginning stages of talking with him.
I mean, does he have an agreement that he could share with us so we can look at it?
I do not know. I will contact him and find out.
Okay, I appreciate that. I like to have the I's dotted, the T's crossed to make sure that we wouldn't get into a pickle if for some reason
Definitely.
he kind of went away.
Definitely. And my thought is when we go for a sign up, we'll probably do like an Eventbrite registration so that people can, sign up through that to attend. And I think there's a way that we can do a piece on there to say you're disciplined. So you can say, we can have law enforcement, fire, dispatch on there. So you can click on that to say what discipline you're coming from. So that'd be a way that we could track how many dispatchers, first responder, fire, police, etc.
Do you have funds available to pay for, let's say the council goes ahead and pays for a portion, do you have funds available to pay for the remainder of the training?
At this time, I do not have my budget. I'm like any other county identity out there. My budget is pretty tight. And so I am working with Disability Services the SEAL Link group down here in Southeast Iowa to help fund part of this. I'm reaching out to like Firefighters Association and other associations trying to get funding to help pay for this.
And then the last question for me, I'm sorry, I'm kind of peppering with questions.
No, you're
When
fine.
is his drop dead date for the decision? Because right now our policy is silent in terms of going into another fiscal year. So I don't even foresee how, I don't even know how we could provide an answer on this with, you know, our policy. I mean, this is something entirely new and it's not accounted for. So when is his drop dead date for you to be able to sign up? Is he willing to hold a spot? If he's that popular, it probably would get filled. I mean, it's a significant amount of money for a public sector agency bringing into a rural county. So is he going to be able to work with you? What date would you need it by?
It's first come, first serve with him. He does not hold dates. You know, and you know, this was a month ago when I talked to him, and some dates could have already been filled since I've talked to him. So no, this is, you know, there's really no drop dead date. It's when I contact him back and say, yes, we want you. And then he says, okay, these are the dates I have available now. And then you hit, you know, because we're looking, this is going to be a week-long thing. It's going to be 4 days. We're looking at possibly having 2 days in Ottumwa and 2 days in Mount Pleasant for this, to have a morning and a evening sessions with him. So that's the reason it's so costly, is because it's such a long time period. So.
Yeah, I guess my concerns is we only have, you know, about 1,437 dispatchers in the state of Iowa, with the maximum participation of the course 1,000, and there's no way we're going to be able to get droves of dispatchers with how short we are to this training. And if it's primarily a dispatcher training, we want to make sure that they can take advantage of it, especially if the money is coming from this council. So that is one. I don't know if others have concerns about that, or if it's just me. Or
I would concur with those concerns.
I think historically we've covered dispatch training, and I think it's sometimes common to see other people latch onto that training as far as like overflow and things, but having a minimum number of dispatchers would be very important for us to know, because we could set a precedence to where we could have training throughout the state where dispatchers are simply being invited to training. I'm not accusing you of this. I'm just telling you what the precedence could be if we go forward, is that if you would invite dispatchers to any training, then that would be covered by this fund. And that's something we have to be very careful of, because the fund is quite limited. And of course, it's very, very difficult to get dispatchers to training because we are so short. Somebody has to steer the ship back home. So there are just a lot of concerns. It sounds like there's some things that you might still need to gather for this application. So I'm wondering if there isn't a motion to table to the next meeting so we can get some of these questions answered both on your end and this council's end.
I'll make that motion to table it to the next meeting, and to have Mr. Jackson provide that information to either Blake or the chair so that we can review it for the next meeting.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Do I have any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, same sign. Okay, this application will be tabled then until the next meeting. All right. I don't believe we have any other training fund requests or any travel requests, which brings us to the end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Bearden.
Do I have a
Second, Murphy.
All those in favor, signal by saying aye.
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 And we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.